Hello, welcome to my painting tutorial. Today I'm painting up a Stormcast Eternal Prosecutor. It's going to be in a Celestial Vindicator. It's a paint scheme straight from the book that came with the box set. It's a very nice turquoise color with some complementary whites and golds. In preparation I primed it with a Vallejo gray primer instead of black this time. Kept it partially disassembled. First thing I'm going to do is I had to figure out my own turquoise because I didn't have the paint, so came up with 2:1 Teclis blue to Caliban green. Gives you a very nice deep turquoise color. Painting over white, you're going to have to do, I had to do 4 coats, you'll see when it's a very deep color. Quite like it. 4 coats, very nice deep turquoise color. I did the armor plates on the wings to tie them in with the paint scheme a little bit more. Now I'm going to block in a bunch of base coats, starting with steel, moving on to the gold, some reds on the loincloth. You need to do a couple coats of the red belcher. It goes over black much better. Over white you got a couple coats. Celestial Grey is a good undercoat for the white coming up, as it, if you leave it a little bit around the edge, gives you a nice definition. So it's not just pure plain white. The Hexed Lichen, pretty deep purple, tends to be a little shiny, any kind of purple or whatever color I really prefer with this. In the wings there's going to be a little purple, I wanted to tie it in with it. Now that that's done, we're going to start with the shading, Newland oil. This is going to go over primarily the entire model. And starting with the turquoise areas, you want to aim just for the recesses. Don't want to muddy up that nice turquoise color, so Try to aim just for the recesses and lines where you can define shapes. I go very lightly at first, and I took about 2 coats to get a very good shade. So I did the steel, the turquoise, as well as the red. Here I'm going to come in with the Lichen flesh shade and hit all that gold, give it a nice patinaed look. Now, I'm just going to hit all this parchment with some Agrex's Earthshade. Put it on pretty heavy. You want to really get it into those letterings to really bring it out. Now I'm going to go back over most of the gold, bring back that color, but leave the shady areas like around the rivets and the recesses. Now I'm going to hit the shoulder plates. I thin it down with a little Lahmian medium to give it some control so it's not like a wash. I want it to be more like a glaze. I hit around it until it gets to about the gold about once or twice, just to get it a little bit wider, and then I work my way up to the higher parts. Took about 5 coats. That way you have a bit of a gray trim around the edge. Now the fun part. I took the turquoise mix that I made and I added about 1-to-1 mix of dead white for all the edge highlighting on the turquoise armor. You just want to hit all the edges, the rivets. That'll really bring out the definition. And as I usually do, I imagined a focal point for the light, which was top left. And so it's very easy. If you just take your lamp, if you have 2, I use 2 lamps, so I turn off the one on the right, I just shine the light, hold the model steady and even, and just it shows you exactly where the shine will be, and just emulate it a little bit with your highlight, and it gives it a much better effect than just going around evenly with the entire model. I usually do a little bit heavier on the parts that are going to get a little more light. As you can see, really makes the model look good. Edge highlighting is one of the easiest things you can do usually. Instead of blending or blending tones up to highlight, edge highlighting gives you a fairly good effect. And any little mistakes you make, you can always go back with the original turquoise and touch up. Now I'm going to add a little bit more dead white to the turquoise mix for a second highlight and hit only the highest points, almost like a glinting highlight. come back with some Screamer Pink with a little dead white for the highlight for the handles. It's not much, so don't forget that little handle on the dagger. Came in with first highlight for the edge of these red tassels and his belt, Mephiston red. There's a little silvery part on there I hit later, as well as the belt buckle. I didn't notice that until later. I hit that with gold. And just for a little bit more, I added a little Vallejo orange fire, just to give it that a little bit more, because it wasn't showing up as much as I liked. Liberator Gold for all the edge highlighting on all the gold parts. Not much on this model, so. Cold gray to go on the edge highlighting on all these little inner softer parts of the armor. It's quite a bit on this model. It's a very dynamically posed model with arms and legs spread. Now just to flesh out this parchment, hit most of it just leaving the recesses with the Ushabti Bone. Edge highlight for the parchment, Pallid witch flesh, just as it suggests, only hit the edges, highest raised parts that you wanted to find, like wrinkles or parts in the parchment. To the last but not least, the wings. Decided I didn't want to just do a plain white wings with a little bit of blue underneath. I decided I want to attempt a lightning effect. So I'm taking this Druchii Violet. I'm only hitting to the edges, not going past where they join, not onto the spikes that stick out. You want to go pretty heavy so that you have a nice dark background for your lightning. You need a nice dark background for the pure white lightning to show. I didn't want to go too crazy, so I pull it in a little bit. Just go heavy, pull, try to push the shade up to these comet trails. Give it a good long time to dry. I'm coming in with dead white, and I'm just hitting these spikes and bringing it up about partially. I'm trying to give it a narrow edge up to the top so that you leave the shade in the recesses. These spikes are kind of shaped like triangles for the top edge. You just want to follow that curve of the wing. The effect I'm attempting to go for here is kind of like a crackly energy of lightning coming out of the top and radiating out into full lightning bolts as they descend down. So, in the lore of the book, apparently these guys are lightning in their veins, and so lightning is a main theme of these guys. I'm thinning my paints down a little bit, and you kind of want to load it up, but not too much. In other words, your paint will dry too fast and you won't get a good, nice little lightning effect. I pull it out of the white and up towards the inner part. I was trying to go minimal, just hitting the tops, but it just ended up being a little bit more crackly. I just kind of went all over the place, probably a little overboard, but I think it gave it a nice effect. White doesn't cover that great, so I went over those spikes a little bit more just to get a nice solid white. And that's it, with all the wings complete, front and back. You get a nice little energy crackly effect here. I'm pleased with it. It's not as tight as it could be, but you work with what you can do. This was a first for me, actually, my first attempt at lightning effect on such a small, I mean, it's hard to, they're such textured, it's not a flat surface, so just take your time. And I assembled the model, based it in the Blasted Land looks, what I'm doing for all my models for the Age of Sigmar, and that's it. Get a nice Celestial Vindicator descending down on his foes. I'm rather pleased with it, and thank you for watching my video.